if I told you that making a horror movie about evil spirits actually invited real evil in the lives of everyone involved? In 1982, Steven Spielberg produced what would become one of the most terrifying horror films ever made, Poltergeist. The movie told the story of a suburban family terrorized by malevolent spirits who kidnapped their youngest daughter. But what happened behind the scenes was far more horrifying than anything audiences saw on screen. Within 6 years of the film's release, 4 cast members would be dead under shocking circumstances. 2 of them were just children. Today, we're investigating the infamous Poltergeist curse, a series of tragic deaths and disturbing events that have haunted this film franchise for over 40 years. We'll examine the evidence, separate fact from fiction, and uncover why this curse has become one of Hollywood's most enduring and chilling legends. By the end of this video, you'll understand why many believe that some movies should never be made. Let me set the scene for you. It's 1982, and Steven Spielberg is at the height of his powers. Fresh off the success of Jaws, Close Encounters, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, he's producing a supernatural horror film about a family whose home is invaded by poltergeists, noisy, destructive spirits from folklore. The movie centers around the Freeling family, particularly 5-year-old Carol Ann, played by adorable 6-year-old Heather O'Rourke. Her iconic line, "They're here," would become one of cinema's most memorable moments. But here's where things get eerie. The film's plot involves spirits who are angry because their resting place has been disturbed. The Freeling house was built on top of an old cemetery, and the developers had moved the headstones but left the bodies buried underneath. As we'll see, this fictional premise would prove to be disturbingly prophetic. The curse claimed its first victim just 5 months after Poltergeist hit theaters. Dominique Dunne played Dana Freeling, the teenage daughter in the film. She was 22 years old, beautiful, talented, and on the verge of stardom. She had everything to live for. But on October 30th, 1982, Halloween weekend, Dominique's ex-boyfriend, John Sweeney, showed up at her West Hollywood home. They'd recently ended their relationship because of his violent behavior, but that night, he wanted her back. When she refused, Sweeney strangled her in her own driveway and left her for dead. Dominique spent 4 days in a coma before dying on November 4th, 1982. She was just 22 years old. But here's what makes this even more chilling. Sweeney was convicted only of voluntary manslaughter and served just 3 years and 8 months of a 6.5-year sentence. The judge called it one of the most lenient sentences he'd ever seen for such a brutal crime. Many believe this miscarriage of justice was the first sign that dark forces were protecting those who harmed the Poltergeist cast. If Dominique Dunne's death was shocking, what happened to Heather O'Rourke was absolutely devastating. Heather was the heart and soul of the Poltergeist franchise. That sweet little girl who said "they're here" had appeared in all 3 films. She was America's sweetheart, and everyone who worked with her described her as an angel. But on February 1st, 1988, that angel was taken in the most unexpected way possible. The day started normally. Heather woke up feeling sick with what seemed like the flu. Her mother took her to the doctor, who said it was just a stomach bug and sent them home. But as they drove to the hospital later that day, Heather went into cardiac arrest in the car. Her mother rushed her to the Children's Hospital in San Diego, where doctors discovered the horrifying truth. Heather wasn't sick with the flu. She had a bowel obstruction that had gone undiagnosed. Bacterial toxins had flooded her bloodstream, causing septic shock. Doctors performed emergency surgery to remove the obstruction, but it was too late. The toxins had done too much damage. Heather O'Rourke died on the operating table. She was just 12 years old. Here's what makes this death so eerie. Heather had been diagnosed with Crohn's disease the year before, but she looked perfectly healthy. No one knew anything was seriously wrong until it was too late. She went from a little girl with a flu to dead in a matter of hours. But the curse wasn't finished. 2 more cast members would die before the decade was over. Julian Beck played the terrifying Reverend Kane in Poltergeist 2, the skeletal preacher who haunts the family. Beck was a seasoned 60-year-old actor, but he was battling stomach cancer during filming. He died on September 14th, 1985, 7 months before Poltergeist 2 was even released. The man who played the embodiment of death had been claimed by Death himself. Then there was Will Sampson, the Native American actor who played the good spirit Taylor in Poltergeist 2. Sampson was 53 and had received a heart-lung transplant, but his body was too weak from years of illness. He died on June 3rd, 1987, about a year after the film's release. Before his death, Sampson had actually performed a real exorcism on the Poltergeist 2 set because he believed the production was genuinely cursed. Think about this for a moment. 4 cast members from the same film franchise died within 6 years. 2 were children who died unexpectedly. 2 were adults who died from illnesses that seemed to accelerate during production. Now, skeptics will tell you that some of these deaths were predictable. Julian Beck and Will Sampson were both seriously ill. But the evidence for something supernatural gets much more compelling when you look at the details. First, there's the timing. Heather O'Rourke died just months before Poltergeist 3 was supposed to be released. The film had to be rewritten and reshot because their star was gone. Second, there's the pattern. In the films, the spirits target the children first. In real life, the curse claimed Dominique Dunne at 22 and Heather O'Rourke at 12, the 2 youngest cast members. Third, there's what happened on set. Multiple crew members reported strange accidents, unexplained equipment failures, and an atmosphere of dread that seemed to follow the production. But here's the most chilling detail of all. Will Sampson, a Native American actor and real-life medicine man, was so convinced the set was cursed that he performed an actual exorcism ritual to try to cleanse it, and yet he still died. But wait, there's one more piece of this puzzle that makes the curse even more believable. Remember how in the movie the house was built on top of a cemetery, where they moved the headstones but left the bodies? Well, there's a disturbing rumor that the Poltergeist production did something similar. Multiple sources claim that real human skeletons were used as props in the film's pool scene. The reason? Real skeletons were actually cheaper to buy than fake ones from medical supply companies. Think about that. The cast was literally swimming with real dead bodies. Jo Beth Williams, who played the mother, has confirmed this rumor in interviews. She said she didn't know at the time, but later learned that the skeletons floating around her in that terrifying pool scene were genuine human remains. If you believe in the supernatural, this would be the ultimate act of disrespect to the dead. Exactly the kind of thing that would invite a curse. So what's the real truth behind the Poltergeist curse? The skeptical explanation: 4 deaths out of a large cast and crew over 6 years isn't statistically unusual. Dominique Dunne was murdered by an abusive ex-boyfriend, a tragically common occurrence. Heather O'Rourke had a rare medical condition. The 2 adult actors were already seriously ill. But the believers point to the evidence, the timing, the pattern, the use of real skeletons, the on-set incidents, and the fact that a real medicine man felt compelled to perform an exorcism. Here's what I think happened. Whether you believe in curses or not, the Poltergeist production was surrounded by an atmosphere of death and tragedy that went far beyond normal filmmaking risks. The use of real human skeletons, if true, represents a fundamental disrespect for the dead that many cultures believe invites supernatural retribution. And the pattern of deaths, particularly the unexpected loss of 2 young people, created a legend that has endured for over 40 years. The Poltergeist curse remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. 4 people died, 2 families were destroyed, and a film about disturbing the dead may have done exactly that. The most tragic part? Heather O'Rourke and Dominique Dunne were just starting their lives. They should have had decades ahead of them, but instead, they became part of a legend that continues to terrify people today. Whether you believe in supernatural curses or not, the Poltergeist tragedy serves as a reminder that some stories come with a price. And sometimes that price is higher than anyone could have imagined. What do you think? Was the Poltergeist curse real, or just a series of tragic coincidences? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more dark truths about your favorite movies, make sure to like and subscribe.